Thank you very much, Rabbi. I didn't realize this came with an appetizer. Save that for later. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. There's a difference between being good and being loved. And I know this to be true. But it took me a while to learn that. You see, when I was in elementary school, we had this project about checks and spending, kind of like baby's first introduction to capitalism. So we each got a fake checkbook. Checkbooks are things that people would write on. So we got these fake checkbooks, an amount of pretend money, and the assignment. Buy holiday gifts for your friends and family. It was meant to teach us about tracking expenses and balancing our accounts. Except I didn't keep track. I just kept writing check after check after check after check, buying imaginary presents with imaginary money. I did serious damage at the sharper image, and I think FYE, if that's still around, I don't know. But it wasn't until the night before the project was due that I realized, after trying to do the math on my balance sheet, that I had overdrawn my account by a lot. Now, I didn't really understand at the time that this whole thing was pretend. All I knew was that I had done something wrong, and I was absolutely terrified. Terrified that if my parents or teacher found out, they'd see me as bad. I wanted so badly, right, like every Jewish boy, to be a good boy. And I couldn't stomach the idea of losing that status. So I panicked. What did I do? I took the checkbook and the balance sheet, and I buried it deep in my closet under piles of toys and clothes, probably some Lego in there. Told my teacher I lost it, and I spent the rest of that school year, so this was in December, I spent the entire rest of the school year sitting in quiet anxiety that someone would discover my shameful secret and expose me as a bad boy. And 20-something years later, it seems like a really small, silly mistake. But to 8-year-old me, it felt like my goodness, maybe even my inherent lovability, was on the line. Now, fast forward quite a bit to rabbinical school. Totally different scenario, but it was a similar story in my head. See, I felt out of place. When I started my year in Jerusalem, my classmates all seemed smarter, wittier, wiser, and yes, even more Jewish than I was. I didn't think I belonged, so I held my tongue in class, terrified that if my professors realized how little I actually knew or had to contribute, they'd hit the eject button on my rabbinic career before it even got started. And it wasn't until studying clinical pastoral education that one of my dear teachers, Rabbi Julie Schwartz, helped me to break this habit. She challenged me to speak openly in our group sessions, to stop living in my head. Slowly but surely, I learned that I didn't have to weigh every word for acceptability lest someone think I was bad. I could still show up fully as myself, flaws and all, and still belong, still be valued, still be loved. And so we come to this week's Torah portion, Akev. In Akev we read, "And if you obey these rules and observe them faithfully, Adonai will maintain the covenant for you. God will love you and God will bless you." It's right there in the text. Apparently, God's love is conditional. Obedience first, love second. Blessings if you keep the rules, curses if you don't. And I'll be honest, I've always been deeply troubled by this theology that exists in the book of Deuteronomy. For me, taken literally, it implies that suffering is caused by the sufferer, that if we fall short even in ways beyond our control, we're doomed to suffer. And if that's the case, well, how do we even reckon with the hundreds of mitzvot that we literally cannot keep since the temple was destroyed? Now, I know what unconditional love feels like. I was blessed with parents who never showed me anything but, friends who have stood by my side, and a wife who embodies it with every ounce of her being. So that makes this transactional God, the "if you do this for me, I will do this for you" God, hard to stomach. But confusing obedience with love isn't just a Torah problem. It's a human problem. We see it in friendships. Maybe you think, if I don't disagree with them, maybe they'll keep me around. We see it in parenting. If I get straight A's, my parents will be proud of me. We see it in the workplace. If I do the work no one else wants to do, they'll see I have value. And yes, we carry it into our relationship with God. If I'm a good Jew, God will love me. Perhaps Akev reflects a time when our ancestors needed those rules to literally survive. And the bus motivator was the promise of love in exchange for obedience. But perhaps, just as our tradition evolved, so too did our understanding of love. For later texts remind us that love, human or divine, is actually strongest when it's not transactional. In Pirkei Avot, we're taught any love that depends on something will fade when that thing is gone, but a love that does not depend on something will never fade. The God I believe in is ever evolving because human understanding is ever evolving. So maybe the God of Deuteronomy, the God of Akev, is a snapshot in time, God reflected through fear and fragility, love as a survival strategy. If that's true, then maybe God, like us, grows, learns, even changes. Unconditional love is not a currency. It is freely given. You can't earn it by checking boxes, and you can't lose it because of a mistake. You already have it from God, from this community. So let's live lives of integrity, making choices that align with our values, not because we're afraid love will be taken away, but because it's how we put love back out into the world. May you know that love is not a reward for good behavior, but a product of your existence. And may we know that each of us, being made B'Tselem Elohim in the image of God, were brought into this world with inherent value. And may we as a people choose to act with integrity and kindness, not because we fear losing love, but because we know we already have it. Shabbat Shalom.
We are loved, loved, loved by unending love, an unending love. Try that with me. We are loved, loved, loved by unending love, an unending love. Once more, we are loved, loved, loved by unending love, an unending love. This is the last time. We are loved, loved, loved by unending love, an unending love. We are supported by hands that uplift us, even in the midst of a fall. We are urged on by eyes that meet us, even when we are too weak for meeting. We are loved, loved, loved by unending love, an unending love. We are loved, loved, loved by unending love, an unending love.
If you're able, please rise for the Aleinu.